Thank you also to all of you who have spoken over the course of these last few days, given us wonderful thoughts to reflect on. Junius and Jen on Friday night, Iman, Tommy, and Kai last night at Baccalaureate, and Clark and Zainab today. Thanks to each of you for wonderful remarks, which I much appreciate. And now, my friends, it's my turn to say a few last words to the class of 2014, whom I love very much. Faculty emeriti, faculty, staff, friends, family, students, and alumni, and most of all, graduating class of 2014, it's my great pleasure to see you all here on this joyous occasion under the sunshine, which you have earned in every possible way. First, I want to say a few words to the parents and to the grandparents, the guardians of all our students. I extend my warmest welcome and thanks to each one of you. You have given us the greatest possible gift, greater even than you could imagine, time with your children at the most precious time in their lives. Whether for 1 year or for 4 years, you've given us the great good fortune to work closely at a formative period in your children's life. We've been blessed to live and to learn and to work with your children in loco parentis, and we have loved the opportunity. Thank you for all that you have given up in making this possible, this education possible for your children. Class of 2014, will you join me in a round of applause for your parents and grandparents? Parents, you may not know quite how much they appreciate you, but we do, and you should. And to you, the class of 2014, you are a wonderful group. You are full of the joy of life. You are smart, you are able, you are talented in every possible dimension. I will always remember your class as comprised of delightful individuals and a high collective spirit. You have shown us that you love Andover and you love what you have learned here, but you also have shown us that you are never complacent. You are restless in the best sense, in the long tradition of Phillips Academy and Abbott Academy students. And for those who may have been wondering what's with the roses as the students walked in, every one of the students, boy and girl, carries today a rose in the spirit of Abbott Academy, something that was done for many years on that campus. And we revived that tradition in the spirit of what happened last year as well. Thank you to the Abbott Academy tradition and to all of you for carrying your roses. Give it a raise for a second. It's actually quite beautiful. You, class of 2014, have not agreed with everything we have said and done as adults. And we, as adults, have not always agreed with everything you have done as students. Whether the issue was changes to the academic calendar, yes, Junius, I'm thinking of you, or our approach to sexual education, or parietals in the dormitories, you have made your voices heard. I hardly need mention some of the little presents you have left in various corners in the past week. Nor need I mention those things you have taken away, we noticed those too, to express your strong point of view. But through it all, we have been connected together on an important journey, discovering ourselves and discovering what we want this community, Andover, to be like, and doing so with great mutual respect. Seniors, I want to leave you with one thought about the times we live in and what you have learned at Andover. I want to preview a question that you will be asked over and over again in the months to come. What does it mean to have gone to Andover? One of the biggest themes of your lifetimes will be the long-term effects of mass globalization. As economies spread and technologies improve and our ambition for growth markets continue unabated, our world is becoming more and more interconnected. Each one of our communities is becoming more connected to and integrated with other communities. The same is true at a national scale. In the United States, if current trends continue, we will become a majority country by about 2040. This phenomenon mirrors trends in many other melting pot countries. I prefer the fruit salad metaphor myself, and it certainly speaks to the diversity of the global community at large. And the same is true here at the micro scale at Andover, to take one of your terms, on the scale of the Andover bubble. We have struggled this year with many different conversations, often provoked or nudged by your own reflections on your experiences at Andover. Over the past 2 years in particular, you have written about the day-to-day experience of living and learning at Andover, in the Philippian, in Out of the Blue, in forums, and on social media. You have asked hard questions, you have brought them to faculty meeting, You have pushed us on coeducation and race in particular. This conversation about difference has honestly been a hard one. We have argued, we have cried, and we've thought hard about what it means to live together when we come from such different places and backgrounds, and we hold such different points of view. I have found it uncomfortable and unnerving. It is actually not a lot of fun much of the time because it makes us face up to hard truths. And it's no surprise that we should struggle with the idea of difference here at Andover. Our history helps to set this conversation into its proper context. This academy was founded, after all, as a, quote, public free school. By free, the founders did not mean that we should not charge tuition. Not to worry, parents, we have not been tricking you all along when we have sent bills to you or asked you for contributions to the parent fund, all of which we need, in fact, to run this school. No, the concept was, right from the start, that students of all backgrounds should be admitted, regardless of their ability to pay or to the religion to which their family happened to be devoted. Imagine what this place looked like in 1778. It was a wilderness. The United States itself didn't exist, except as a declaration made 2 years before. The colonists had started a war. In the midst of this mayhem, a family, the Phillips family, and their friends decided to start a school, a public free school, right here to educate youth from every quarter. This was a revolutionary act at a revolutionary moment. Those twin revolutions, the making of a new nation, a democracy, and the making of two great schools, Abbott and Phillips, now one here on this patch of land in Andover, Mass., both remain unfinished. Despite the success of this nation over 2 centuries, we struggle in the United States to keep our government running continuously. We struggle to maintain harmony in our communities when insensitivity and cruelty rock our sense of propriety and justice. Think of the shockwaves caused by the private remarks of the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, a professional basketball team, a few weeks ago. We struggle to carry out civil discourse about the long-term threats to our economic welfare and the health of our environment. And at Andover 2, class of 2014, we have unfinished business. We are proud to call ourselves a need-blind school when we finally have been able to live up to the challenge of our own Constitution. We have the great good fortune of attracting applications from 85 different countries to what I like to think of as our global magnet school. The vast majority of students to whom we offer a place at Andover choose to come to Andover, despite the bad weather, Clark. Yes, they do. On paper, our racial and socioeconomic diversity is extraordinary. And the faculty assembled here, in my humble yet honest view, is unparalleled at any other high school anywhere. Despite our successes as a school, we must yet work harder to find common ground across our differences. The experiences of this, your senior year, have made clear that we at Andover need to dig even deeper in ourselves to find ways to honor the different and valid experience of each and every one of the students who comes here. 2 of the many reasons why this is so important. First, we ought to do it because it is right to ensure that everyone feels welcome, that everyone is accepted, and that everyone belongs. From a functional perspective, social science research shows us that students who do not have a sense of belonging tend to perform less well in school. Second, we should honor the experience of every student because the act of doing so is itself a skill, a form of excellence that every student should have by the time you graduate from Andover. It is a form of growth potential into which we should tap. You might come from a family who has attended Abbott or Phillips Academy or schools like it for hundreds of years, a family like my own. Or you might have come from a family that has not heard of New England boarding schools, much less this one a few years ago. You might have come from a family of great privilege or a family that works hard to pay the rent every month. It shouldn't matter, but it does, and we have to grapple with what that reality means. At Andover, you've learned many things in the last 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. I trust that everyone here has learned something about art, about music, and sport. I trust that you've learned about literature, history, language, mathematics, and the sciences. You have learned the traditional boarding school lessons about character, teamwork, persistence, and how to manage large amounts of work, and how, class of 2014, you have succeeded at that. Some of you have learned a great deal about the classics, or about how to program a computer to do wonderful or perhaps terrifying things. I'll always remember that tiny little group of seniors who studied with me across 2 terms in hacking. Many of you, a few days ago, climbed the Memorial Bell Tower to learn what our campus looks like from the sky on a clear day. You've had the benefit of a classic liberal arts education during your high school years, a remarkable thing. This education has been salted through with some new and exciting ways to teach and learn, which you've helped us to develop. But for today's purposes, most of all, you've learned something about how to live in a society where difference is the norm, not the exception. The faculty and the trustees and I believe strongly that there is a skill embedded here, a crucially important skill that is a part and not separate from a strong liberal arts education in our new century. The skill to be able to work and live across lines of difference, to make it a blessing and not a curse, to find ways that it strengthens democracies, not undercuts them, is the one that will serve you well for the rest of your life, as communities grow more and more diverse and interconnected. When you work together in the orchestra or fidelio or jazz band to make beautiful music, when you come together in the dugout of the softball field or in the boathouse along the Merrimack River, you have learned to exemplify teamwork and collaboration despite radical gaps in experience and perspective. Today, class of 2014 marks a transformation for you. You woke up this morning an Andover student. Tonight, you go to sleep as our newest alumni. That matters because as much as you might feel today is about finishing and about separation, it's also a day when you join the community of over 25,000 Abbott and Phillips Academy alumni. As you join the proud ranks of our graduates, I look forward to the Andover that we can build together. At Andover, we have the great privilege of building from strength to strength. In the past week, several of you have come to see me for a meal or to meet in my office, to debrief on your year or on your Andover experience. I've cherished these conversations, as I have cherished every one of my conversations with you, class of 2014, and I will miss being right here or in the chapel with all of you. I've heard some very happy things from you, and I've heard a lot about things you wish would be different at Andover. My final request of all of you is that you help us make Andover even better in the years to come. For my own part, I look forward to an Andover where we keep improving at having empathy and compassion for one another. I look forward to an Andover where we preserve and honor our differences in culture. And I look forward to an Andover where, in doing so, we preserve a strong sense of intellectual freedom while we work through our many differences. In closing, members of the class of 2014, I return to a question I posed a moment ago. When you were asked, what does it mean to have gone to Andover, I imagine you will have a lot to say. I suspect many of you will think of the extraordinary academic, athletic, and artistic lessons you have learned here. I imagine many of you will point to the strength of character you have developed here, and if you don't point to that, you should. Or perhaps you will point to the fact that you learned to do your laundry with your mom nowhere present. Each of these things is true. Today, though, I encourage you to think also about that distinctive skill, a distinctive Andover skill that you learned while living in the most diverse community you may ever know. To learn with and live with those very different from you and people who will be, I'm quite sure, your friends for life. You, members of the class of 2014, will need exactly this skill if we are to preserve our planet, to create new jobs, to reduce world hunger, and improve healthcare for those in every society. This is the skill we will need if democracy is to work. This is the skill we will need if Andover is to work. I leave you today confident in every respect that each of you is a graduate who will thrive in this increasing world of diversity, complexity, and connectedness. Class of 2014, we will miss you. I will miss you. Thank you for all that you have done and all that you will do to make us proud. Congratulations and Godspeed.